Hi guys, this is Shani Ali Khan once again for you, and right now I am here in one of the villages near Sher Ghati, and I am with one of the multi-talented personality from India because he has done a lot of work in education policy 2020. तो चाहूँगा सर सबसे पहले आप अपना इंट्रोडक्शन दे लोगों को सर।
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। Myself Sikandar Azam. I am assistant professor in Hyderabad in finance department, and right now since the online classes are going on, that's why I am at home, and I got this opportunity to meet with the Shani Ali Bhai, and I am really glad that at least I have heard a lot about the Shani Ali Bhai, and today I got this opportunity to meet him.
Thanks a lot, sir. So question arises here for as you have mentioned here, you are taking digital classes. So what is the problem you are facing in digital classes? Students are behaving good or not?
To be very honored that in physical classes we found at least 5 to 10% in each and every class. I will find that there will be disturbing element. But in online classes, at least no one will be the disturbing. That is the one thing. That is a good thing. Okay. It's not a good actually, but in another way you can call it that they may not be very much attentive to your class. That's why they are not disturbing, basically one thing. But the second thing which I found that is very, very important in digital class, that the student has to be self-motivated. Otherwise, no one can help them. Because in physical classes, we can force them to speak something. But when it's come to the online classes, we can't force much. Hardly we can take their name twice and thrice. We can call them to tell the definition of this or anything, okay, to interact with them. So I always tell to my student that you have to be self-motivated. Otherwise, no one will force you. Because in online classes, that there is nothing as such if someone will come and insist you. So the self-motivation is very, very important. Second thing, that the environment of their home, definitely, in family must be that, I mean, they must give priority to the education. Because what I felt here, there are many students those who are studying, but because of the lockdown, what happened at home, there is no as such environment. So when you don't find as such environment that your family member is engaged into the whether in TV or cell phone or some other entertainment, so what happened, your intention is also being diverted basically. So ultimately, घर का क्या माहौल है, that impact a lot. So the parents has to also work out. They should not just think, he's attending the class, so definitely he's doing well. No, they should also make sure that the environment of my home, of my family is as educate and proper way that he should be, guided in that way actually. So self-motivation and environment of the home, it must be there for the online education.
Okay, sure. So we people are working for 21st century education of Bihar. So what do you mean 21st century skills?
Yes, those days are gone when the professor used to come and they used to deliver the lecture for the 1 hour.
Definitely.
In fact, we have seen the same thing in the Gaya also. Yeah. Okay, the professor
whole
will
Bihar,
come,
whole Bihar.
And exactly, whole Bihar.
Yeah.
And there was one-way conversation basically.
Yeah.
The professor will come, he
Teacher
will just
exactly.
There's no much interaction, but nowadays the thing has changed. That the most of the young professor I have seen, most of the young teacher I have seen, they are trying to interact with them. There should be two-way conversation. Yeah. And we always tell to the student that we all are learner throughout the life, including me. This is what exactly in each and every orientation classes I focus on the student. So what I would say, looking at the 21st century, first one is it must be interactive. Okay, even a student should also think, if I am attending any session, physical or online, if the teacher is not interacting, it means there is something wrong with that. So a student has to be also, or parents should also be very much cautious that the teacher, those who are teaching to the student, whether they are giving enough time to interact with them or not, or is it the conventional mode where the professor is just delivering 1 hour lecture and then leaving it. Yeah. So that is the one thing. Second thing, the technological advancement on which you people are working. That's really great actually. So we have to adopt as soon as possible. Otherwise, what will happen? We will be 50 years, 30 years back. Yeah. And later on you will realize where exactly we are. When the whole world is moving toward the digitalization, whole world is moving toward the advancement of the education, we are still adopting the conventional mode or traditional mode of the education. So later on, definitely those who are denying it, they will regret it. Because imagine those days when the computer came in our country, what people used to say, it will consume all the employment. What will happen to the people, those who are working in the industry? They all will become unemployed. But look at here, the computer is also, our employment is also there. So what I'm trying to tell them, that technology is not a disruption actually. the proper use of the technology, and it will definitely advance the quality education. So as soon they should accept the technology, whether it's online classes or whether you can then use the tools which is available to teach them, and then the presentation skill through the PPT, using the PPT in YouTube or some other references or some video available on that Shodh Ganga, which is basically the research website for our country. So these things has to be taken into consideration. So we should not be in the denial mode. We should accept as soon as possible. Otherwise, we will regret actually.
Thanks a lot, sir. Actually, we have heard about you. You have visited once Parliament also due to some education policy of 2020. So what was the story of you, sir?
When the NDA government came into the picture, they had a plan to prepare a new education policy and a major changes in the new education policy. So they invited the students, the 30 students from across the country, especially from the Central University, to get the feedback from the student side to what are the changes required, whether it's related to the primary education, higher education, or rural education, urban education, or education for the girls, education for the boys, for all these changes. And they asked our feedback, they asked our suggestion. So we had a twice meeting in the Delhi with the Education Ministry regarding these policies, and we were also invited in the Rajya Sabha during the debate on new education policy. So these were the purpose. And if you'll ask about the suggestion which I exclusively has given, that was few suggestion was related to that the primary level that which has been implemented, and I'm really happy that in fact 6-hour continued discussion was there with the Smriti Irani those days. So one suggestion which is incorporated in this new education policy was that right to education. That I was telling to them that why the right to education is up to only the 10th, make it up to the 12th, and it should be the duty of the government to teach them up to 12th free of cost. That has been incorporated. So in fact earlier it was 6 to 14. Now it has been done, if I am correct, 6 to 16. Up to 16 years of the age, it is the duty of the government to teach them one thing. Second I was basically talking about that related to the quality of educational institution. That I have seen your video also that you are highlighting that there are many engineering colleges from where students are studying, but what happened ultimately, they are not able to get the proper job even for the 10,000 and 15,000. So what happened, that those students are becoming burden, spending 4 years, spending approx 4 years plus approx 6 to 8 lakh, but ultimately what is the return from them? So even our society think, yeah, he is an engineer, but ultimately he is not getting anything. So what is the point of investing 8 lakh plus 4 years? So let him go to the Saudi or let him do any other work. Why we are so much bothered about that? So looking at these things, I have highlighted to them, there must be a strong rule and regulation with respect to the establishing and running and functioning of any institution. Look at the MCI guideline, Medical Council of India. It's not so easy to start any medical colleges. Why? Because the MCI is very, very strong. But when it's come to the engineering colleges, it's quite easy. If you are having a 10 rooms, easily Shani Ali Institute of Management, Azam Institute of Management and Technology. Why these things are there? Because the government of frame and rule regulation is so liberal. And we do that most of the institution, private institution, I will not tell all, but there are so many private institutions which does not have the quality faculty. They don't have the lab facility, and there is no one who is I'm just getting admission, paying the fee and that getting the degree. So I was trying to highlight them. There must be a special exclusively, whether you are making it to NAC or UGC, whosoever is that, must be a strong foundation should be there, and a strong rule and regulation should be there, like MCI. So thereby a number of people, those who are just getting the BTech degree and they are not able to get the job, it is not because that a student does not have quality, but in fact I must tell you that not only the 4 year and 8 lakhs, but the growth of the student has also degraded.
Definitely.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And when he joined the BTech, what happened? No one is there to teach. There is no facility to provide the lab. So ultimately 4 year में उसकी जो अपनी potential है, that has also came down because उसको वैसा education ही नहीं मिला. At least वो भी education नहीं मिला. So that was the major concern. The third, I was talking about the research. So what happened? You might have heard there are many people who have pursued the research from the Central University and State University. Still they are unemployed. So my question was to them to pursue a research which is the highest degree. The doctoral degree is the highest degree not only in India but throughout the world. even after getting the highest degree, what happens? There are many people who are unemployed. So, and to get the PhD degree in 2009, UGC have came out with the guideline to get admission in PhD. First of all, you have to crack the entrance, followed by interview, thesis submission, coursework, presentation in national international seminar, and then publication of the paper. Despite this much of a strong examination and evaluation pattern, if the one fellow who has secured the doctoral degree, if he or she is not in a position to get the job, then where is the problem? So that government must ensure that those who have completed PhD should get the job, or else you reduce the seat. Number of seats should be reduced. If you feel that this much of number of PhD holder we are not in a position to employ them, then reduce the seat. Why you are offering it in each and every department 10 and 15 PhD? So that is the one thing. And the another suggestion, especially about the social sciences, those who are pursuing research in the social sciences and management, I have given a suggestion to why don't you put them into school or middle school for at least for 3 months or 6 months, so they will be able to understand, because social science means research should be outside the laboratory. Science के research हम lab में करते हैं, social sciences के research हम society में आकर के करते हैं. तो the guy who born in the metropolitan city वहीं से पढ़ा लिखा है और वहीं वो बैठ करके किसकी रिसर्च कर रहा है? वो एग्रीकल्चर की रिसर्च कर रहा है, रूरल की रिसर्च कर रहा है, सेमी अर्बन एरिया की रिसर्च कर रहा है, वुमेन के लिए रिसर्च कर रहा है, दलित वुमेन के लिए, मुस्लिम वुमेन के लिए. वो इंटरेक्ट ही नहीं हुआ है.
आर्टिफिशियल रिसर्च.
एग्जैक्टली. वो ऐसे ही बैठ करके वहीं दिल्ली में पैदा हुआ, वहीं पढ़ा लिखा और वहीं बैठ करके वो रिसर्च कर रहा है. सो माई कंसर्न वाज दोज हु आर परस्यूइंग PhD, स्पेशली इन मैनेजमेंट एंड सोशल साइंस, गवर्नमेंट शुड प्रोवाइड मिनिमम 3-month internship in the rural area. Then they will understand what exactly India is. तभी वो समझेंगे कि आखिर हिंदुस्तान है क्या. अदरवाइज दिल्ली को हिंदुस्तान समझेंगे वो. So that was the suggestion. The last suggestion, there was other suggestion also, but last which I would like to highlight, which is very, very important actually. It was, in fact, today itself news has came from the MHRD, Education Ministry of Government of India. 13 new Vice Chancellor of Central University has been appointed today. So my suggestion was, why don't you make the Vice Chancellor Performance Index? Why I'm telling, there is something called Faculty Performance Index. When you will enter into the assistant professor and associate professor to evaluate your promotion and those things, they will go for the API index, okay, and they will check whether you are regularly progressing, and whatever things has been assigned as a faculty, whether it's a research or case study or publication or book writing or teaching, all these conferences, in national conference, international, all these things are whether you are equally doing your job or not. So similarly, that is called APA basically as per the UGC guideline. Then you will get the promotion from assistant professor to associate professor to the full-fledged professor. In the same way, why don't we have the Vice Chancellor Performance Index? Because we have seen that, because Vice Chancellor is the ultimate administrator of any central university, even a state university के लिए. So he has all the capability as a head of the institution to make the major changes. So Vice Chancellor, because there are many Vice Chancellors who are very much, you can call it that, non-performance, and some of the Vice Chancellor on which allegation has been made, still they are getting the Vice Chancellor post. So that is because unless until the institution ka head will not be very sound enough, then it is really difficult to expect from those institutions to flourish, to progress and come equivalent to the world level. Look at the world ranking where we are actually. You must be aware, okay? Top 100 में कहीं नहीं है, दूर तक कहीं नहीं है. Not a single institute in our country which comes under the top 100. Top 200 में IISc Bangalore आती है basically, Indian Institute of Science Bangalore आती है, and then IIT Kharagpur वगैरह, top 500 में, and IIT Delhi वगैरह. So what I'm trying to tell you here that so the Vice Chancellor Performance Index must be there, so that a person who has capability, who deserve to run any institution, he must hold that particular post. So these were the suggestions from my side.
That's really good suggestions, because people are watching right now, so it's really very beneficial for them. So thank you so much for giving your precious time here. So guys, we will meet in next video with next personality. So till then, take care. Bye bye. See you soon, guys.
Welcome. Thank you so much.